actually didn't write it for my corporation, but I could have. CeCe is the brand of energy practitioner that empowers human energy with advanced holistic technologies to create in the new age. And then I have reasons why underneath, which are my service offerings.
Okay, let's hear them.
So, number one, CeCe fully opens hearts to both giving and receiving love. And I'm going to say that this is very important because many people have had their hearts broken and have closed down facets of them. And we really cannot know that what we're doing is loving if we're not actually receiving love. We may think we're being loving, but we really may not. So it's a very important part. And someone said to me recently, Dr. Joy Peterson, that love is the currency in the new age. That's what's going to get us where we're going and to get us what we desire most.
Mm-hmm.
The other two is I awaken hearts to connect minds and balance our thinking and our feeling. We have elements of our heart and our minds called strength and courage and wisdom. But when our hearts are open, the benefit is multiplied to be loving, loving being, loving strength, loving courage, and loving wisdom. And the highest human energy is of compassion. The world could use a lot more compassion. And with a heart open to giving and receiving, and with the experience we've had, we will be able to show compassion and be a force for good in the world. The last thing is, all of this inner work ends up resulting in how you work the secret or the law of attraction or the power of intent. And within these new and highest energies that have now arrived on Earth, that's the way that we're supposed to move forward with creation. We're supposed to begin with no motion, but motion comes without effort because we initiate our true desires through manifestation, and then we co-create. We co-create with the universe as how we're to move forward in the future. A very different way than being a person caught up in doing, and we're more to be caught up in the proper state of our being. Our inner self is the most important aspect.
Well, a lot of people call that, but a lot of people call that the receptive mode, getting into the receptive mode or the feminine type of energy where we're receiving. So that's kind of what you're touching on, I believe.
And
yes, but I would also say that it is resonating, that if you carry the vibrational frequency of something that is positive, that is when the law of attraction magnetizes the more positive aspects with you.
Yes.
And I worked a long time with people to negate the negative energies that we're carrying around. And that's what my book, Become the Butterfly, was about.
I was just going to mention that because you're saying, is that actually one of your books, CeCe?
Yes.
Become the Butterfly, Experience the Heartfelt Energy. Because when you were describing your brand strategy for yourself, what I focused on was that title, Become the Butterfly, because it really is what you were sharing, I believe.
Well, it's exactly right. I have had many wonderful tutors in my life. And Dr. Cher Went, a very famous psychologist, had learned that there are many people who opened up closed their hearts off at childbirth. And she had developed methodologies that she used in group therapy in her psychology work that were energy related, that were more powerful than anything she had learned professionally or anything that she could do through talk therapy. And she was using that to open up the hearts of men and women. And she had written a book, and she was on a book tour with that. And she's just one of the many mentors I have. I don't discriminate. I steal from everybody. Deepak Chopra, Dr. Wayne Dyer.
Well, they all have such great contributions. And I think as we do our work in the world, we presence, those things that really speak and made differences in our lives. I mean, I've got to say this, knowing myself coming from corporate America, and then becoming a massage therapist, and getting into this whole healing field, it's a big switch, isn't it, CeCe?
It's it's almost unimaginable.
Yeah, I compare it to like turning the Titanic on a dime. It's like it's a huge switch. And so when I saw this title, you had some other titles that you talked about, food allergies and big bold business tips. But when I saw Become the Butterfly, I was like, that's a huge shift. Can you tell us how that happened for you?
Well, the book was written for my clients because I wanted my clients to learn more about the underpinnings of the different powers that they had as I brought them through to resonate with finer things and to drop negative energies that they were carrying. And I wanted to share a lot of the information that I learned along the way. But what happened in the business world, I read a book by Jim Collins who wrote Going from Good to Great. And he examined the large corporations in America and identified the ones that were successful and the leaders who brought them to that success. And his problem was that he could bring the leaders in training to what he called a level 4, but he couldn't bring them up to level 5. Level 5 were those leaders, those top leaders, who had come to the way they were in their leadership acumen by either having a serious disease and recovering from it,
right,
or having an epiphany.
Yep.
And he couldn't replicate an epiphany for people. But in a way, that's exactly what happened to me. I had an epiphany. And an epiphany is something that you ask for. Anyone can ask for it. I didn't know I had asked for it. I had a girlfriend who was very talented and received many messages. And she was telling me one day about a message she received, and I got very impatient with her, and I said, Janet, how come I never receive any messages? What am I, chopped liver? I'm from the New York area. You're always worried about being chopped liver. And Janet laughed at me, and we ended the call. So an epiphany, that's something that happens to you very unexpectedly. So I went up to my office and I turned on the computer, and I was barred from going into my software because a screen came up that looked like it was from a search engine, and it said, choose a word to search on, and that's it. So I couldn't ignore it because I couldn't get through to my screens. So I wrote mustard seeds, and I said, well, I'll get them. I used 2 words. I didn't use 1 word. I got through to the screens, and I was working on my laptop for a while when it became time for Oprah to come on in the afternoon. And as an entrepreneur, I became very close with Oprah as my friend in the afternoon. So I turned on the TV, and in the early days, Oprah used to get very close to the screen, and she was sitting at her desk. And she looks right into the camera, and she said, if you have the faith of a mustard seed, you can move mountains. And she said, and I have this jar of mustard seeds on my desk, and I look at them every day. And that was a non-coincidence that happened to me, that the universe had pre-planned to happen. And I pulled the trigger by asking the question, and I knew that I had made my connection with the universe. And that was the real beginning of my spiritual development. So the truth of the matter is that since then, and in this age, I believe that anyone can ask to be shown. And they will be shown without any intervention from me or anyone else. They will be shown in some way that they cannot deny, that there are greater forces watching out for them and listening to them and talking to them that they can imagine.
And it sounds like from there, CeCe, then you take people to really see the importance of developing their brand strategy, if they want to be a leader, to develop their leadership brand strategy, and that's what you coach people through. Am I correct in saying that?
That's correct. Well, we're not, we weren't called human doings. We're called human beings. So we were talking a lot about what I was doing, but the truth of the matter is we need to equally focus as much attention on our state of being, on how we are internally, because if all of these factors and forces are at work, they are more instrumental in moving us forward in our life, or at the very least, the first step in moving forward in our life to achieve and to do whatever it is we want to do. And we don't have to work so hard because we have a team working with us.
I love that as
so
a closing
great.
point.
How can we, when we do have to get closing in a moment, how can people reach you? And I think you've got a special to offer as well, right?
Yes, I do. Where is my special? It's a great sales strategies for the new era report that I wrote. It's an excerpt from the book that I participated in writing, Big Bold Business Tips. And
that's really great, really great. And how can they reach you? What's your website?
Well, my website is kind of in transition, but you could send me an email, CeCe at CHi, CHi Consultant.com.
Oh, this is fantastic, CeCe. We could go on and on. I really want to thank you so much for joining us this great conversation about branding. And I want to invite our listeners to keep listening to us next week right here on Planet One. Thank you so much, CeCe.
Thank you so much, Patricia.